Harry's wife. The brand comes crashing down. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Collateral consequences are an ever-present issue for the lesser and mid-range narcissist. The greater narcissist and the ultra plan ahead, consider the ramifications of their actions, cold, clinical, and calculating. There are those that do not understand narcissism who believe that Harry's wife is calculated. Yes, she wanted fame. Yes, she wanted money. But her narcissism guides her towards those overall objectives on a piecemeal, day-to-day basis. For instance, it causes her to direct that PR puff pieces must be issued about her without due regard for the recognition that 1. People will tire of this, there will be fatigue for the endless pieces of banal nonsense that are written about her in Town and Country, People.com, Hello, Marie Claire, Harper's Bazaar, etc. And 2, the fact that people now see that this is just a transparent attempt to deflect from the bad news that keeps popping up about her. We now examine another collateral consequence which has occurred as a result of Harry's wife's inabilities, poor delivery, and general shithousery. The Mail Online, through Martin Robertson, states why Harry and Harry's wife's brand could come crashing down. Experts warn that Sussexes could lose up to $10 million in deals after Spotify parted ways with royal pair. Spotify's decision to cut their losses and scrap their deal with Harry's wife and Harry could cost the couple $10 million and does not bode well for their fading hope of becoming a $1 billion brand. Harry's wife's podcast, Archetypes, will not be renewed for a second season in what has been described as a mutual decision between the Sussexes and the streaming behemoth. PR guru Mark Bukowski told Mail Online that it is very bad news for Harry's wife and Harry's brand, and a sign their star is really falling. He estimated that the failure could cost them up to $10 million. Pausing there, that's a problem because the loss of money impacts upon residual benefit. It also threatens her sense of control, that she's not able to hold on to money in the same way. The fact that their star is falling isn't a surprise, of course. I spoke about how the downward spiral commenced last year. But furthermore, that star was barely up in the sky for long before it started to plummet. She first came on the scene some 7 years ago, was married just 5 years ago, hasn't created a billion-dollar brand, hasn't really created anything, has she? And yet, already the star is falling. Bukowski stated, they didn't get the quality of the product right, and the gooey front of their new reality faded. The air is going out of their much-hyped balloon, and these little things begin to erode that juggernaut of hype that they delivered when they broke away from the royal family. If no one is interested in anything they have to say about mental health or the royal family, then their star is really falling. It is not a good day for the long-term brand of Harry's wife, he added. The ditching of the Spotify podcast now means the couple's last major surviving deal in the £81 million situation is with Netflix, the makers of their controversial documentary series. Harry's wife recently signed with William Morris Endeavour, the talent agency that boasts clients like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, tennis star Serena Williams, and other A-listers amid rumours about the relaunch of her lifestyle blog, The Tig. This has been viewed as the best way for her to make big money, especially given the success of Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop and Kourtney Kardashian's Poosh. An insider said last month the deal is about making Harry's wife a power player in Hollywood. It is about creating projects for her to produce. She wants to run the show. Naturally she does, because as a narcissist she is driven to always need to assert control over people. Mr. Bukowski said that he believes that they could lose up to 40% of the $25 million Spotify deal after it ended, which would be around $10 million. Archetypes launched with great fanfare last year, featuring stars and celebrity friends, including tennis legend Serena Williams, pop mega star Mariah Carey, and South African comedian Trevor Noah. Speaking to singer Ms. Carey, described the idea of a diva being not something that I connect to, only for Carey to reply, "You give us diva moments sometimes, Harry's wife," before adding that she believed it was a positive term. See parts passing for my analysis of when those two narcissists ended up colliding. But it was plagued by mixed reviews from critics, with the Times comparing the listening experience to being locked in the relaxation room of a wellness spa with an unusually self-involved yoga instructor. Spotify also reportedly became impatient about the pace of recordings, 12 episodes in 2 years. As I've explained to you before, that is not a surprise with someone such as Harry's wife. 1, lack of talent. 2, she's lazy because of her sense of entitlement. Give me the money, and I'll eventually get around to doing something. There was also said to be tensions about how far down the charts her podcast and individual episodes dropped. Spotify was even accused of wrongly using its own official podcast chart to keep Harry's wife at number 1 when she was lagging behind Joe Rogan and other stars in terms of daily listeners. And earlier this year, the head of Spotify admitted he got a little carried away and overinvested in expensive podcasts as the streaming giant made a loss of £187 million. Brand and culture expert Nick Eade told Mail Online today that Spotify will have pulled the plug, and it is a sign that the post-Megxit wave the couple were riding is crashing. He predicts more brands will dump them. Loss of residual benefits, threat to control, amid rumours Netflix are also unhappy. It looks like Harry's wife's brand isn't such a box office winner, and I can see a lot of other businesses following suit, he said. Pausing there. The reason it's not a winner is 1, she's a talentless individual. 2, she made a name off the man that she married and whining. People don't find that particularly interesting. 3, she doesn't have a tremendous work ethic. She believes that things should just be given to her because of her sense of entitlement and her lack of accountability. She believes that because she is a star in her own universe, that should translate into the world that you and I and everybody else inhabits. She believes that you are all there to give her what she needs. She doesn't understand that she ought to work for that. Her style of narcissism doesn't direct her in that way. Thus, because she's a talentless individual, there isn't much to offer in the first place. The only thing that she could offer is her association with the royal family, and many people don't like somebody making a living off complaining, whining, and airing dirty laundry. Furthermore, the problem is that even where she did this, many people were sceptical about the provenance of what she was saying, and they often thought that it was unnecessary smearing rather than a fair account of what actually happened. Given that she's told so many lies and engaged in so many revisions of history, people started to doubt the veracity of what she had to say. And therefore, she has nothing of interest to say, and what she has to say that might be of interest, people simply don't believe. Not really a solid foundation for a brand. The article continues by explaining that Mr. Eade stated that Harry's wife's relaunch of her blog, The Tig, is near certain, as her options become more limited. He believes that the couple will have lost many millions from the dead Spotify deal. Mr. Eade said, "I think that this is optically a really negative position for Harry's wife and her brand to be in. With this news and the news that Netflix are not happy with the output from the Archwell team, either she is set to lose millions from these deals. It also shows that these huge brands have not as much confidence in Harry's wife and Harry, and that the halo effect they were riding on post-Megxit is now beginning to fade." Brands need to make money. They pay for talent not because of emotions, but because of economy. I think that Harry's wife will build her own community and brand like Kourtney Kardashian and Poosh or Gwyneth Paltrow with Goop. So I think the TIG will probably have an audio arm where she can produce and play archetypes, and it will be available on all platforms, not just Spotify. Mark Bukowski predicted in 2020 that if properly advised, they potentially could become a billion-dollar brand to rival their friend Oprah Winfrey, but now admits this is unlikely after a series of wrong turns. Since 2020, the couple have taken poor decisions, and whining and moaning has left Americans and Brits fed up, commentators have said. That, of course, is a collateral consequence of the way that she behaves. And it demonstrates how her behaviour, in effect, comes back to bite her on the backside. The article recounts some of the activity that has gone on by state and then tells us the TIG relaunch looks her most likely next move unless a new book is announced. The lifestyle blog ran from 2014 to 2017. If you'd like an entertaining look at the dross that she pumped out then, watch my videos The Stig. And she did it at the height of her fame in TV show Suits and featured everything from New Year's resolutions to diet tips and fashion finds. She also explored feminist topics and shared musings from her childhood and career before she got her big break. If she were to relaunch it, she's now more famous and would be unshackled by any constraints of being a working royal. But even then, I see that it's going to be problematic, because many people just think that she's a joke individual now. And her credibility has been damaged sufficiently by the way that she has behaved, that it really would be difficult to get that off the ground. Accordingly, as a consequence of her behaviour that has impacted on the way that people see her, and the poor decisions that she's made as a consequence of the narcissistic focus on the now, her brand is crashing down. I'm H.T. Tudor. Thank you for listening.